Hi, this is Deirdre Gilbert, and I know I've been offline for a couple of days or a week or so, but we're in the process of just still looking through these things and changes, and hopefully we can give you some information to to use and to go for and to look at your own time. Today I am talking about a very sensitive subject that I think that every person in this United States needs to be looking at. While we are focusing on uh, our next elect president, while we're focusing on, what he's twittering, we're not looking at what's really going on in the country. And I'm sad to say that uh, that I work on medical issues, medical concerns, and we are just finding that this subject is just getting worse. We're digging deeper holes and coming to find out that there are much more horrific activities going on the edge and in the inside that you don't know anything about. I'm going to be discussing today about a little bit of a subject that many people are not listening to, but I'm having to talk about this because doing my research on some other things, I'm coming across this, and I want those of you that are dealing with medical issues, those of you who are fighting for the vaccinations issues, and for these laws to be changed. We need to know what are the deep, dark secrets that are happening. And at times, I know that you don't want, you want to not say anything. And if we don't say anything, then that simply means that we are merely allowing these things to happen when we don't say anything. So I'm going to try to start off. And as you can see, my subject for today is baby brains for sale. And I'm going to try to say this. And again, as I finish talking, I'm going to send this information to you, the different websites or the different links where you can read for yourself these stories and these issues that we are having to fight and what we're looking at. So one of the things, the first thing I'm going to start talking about is when they had the undercover issues with Planned Parenthood, and they were exposing what they call harvesting. And most of the time, we know that harvesting these organs were without consent. And subsequently, they were actually selling fetal organs from mountains of aborted babies killed by Planned Parenthood. Now, I know again, this is a very sensitive subject, but I need for you to listen to what I am saying and then read the information, and then, keep your family safe. And you need to start calling your representatives, and you need to start demanding some change, because while we're not paying attention, they are creating laws after law after law to keep us in bondage and to keep us from having the civil liberties that we should have. And so we have noticed that mainstream media, when this first came out, they kept you in the dark by ignoring the releases that were an outcry to the public. And so instead, they start talking about Cecil the Lion. And you all remember Cecil the Lion, and they had all of the mainstream media on Cecil the Lion. Well, while the medical community is figuring out ways of forced vaccinations and medical issues of harvesting organs, they have you now looking more so at Donald Trump and all of the things that are going on in the Capitol, and they're trying to get your minds off of what is really going on in the real world. They don't want you to know what's happening. Did you know that right now about the U.S. taxpayers are paying about $280 million for fetal tissue research. Now, I didn't have really had, I guess, an interest in this issue until again, I and some of the other researchers were researching medical malpractice. We stumbled up on these types of issues, and now we're becoming to find out that these are the issues that are more damaging or more barbaric than we could ever imagine, in that, medical malpractice was just something that was merely on the surface. So I focused on, or we stumbled on St. Jude. And I know many people love St. Jude. And on the surface, myself, I also thought that St. Jude might have been a place of greatness, in a place where people were actually getting the treatments that they needed and being helped. But that's no longer true, because now I've watched something and I found something that is very disturbing to me, and I'm going to share this with you. Is that there was a spokesperson for St. Jude that told Life Site News that fetal tissue research, they didn't often know where these fetal tissues were coming from. They did know that this stuff is coming from aborted babies or from babies who were miscarried. Now, an AP report was saying that these elective abortions that were done like in 1960s were actually the basis for vaccines, like in Germany for illnesses such as hepatitis, German measles, chickenpox, and rabies. And so I'm not talking, I'm not going into the deep end of what your belief is. I'm just talking about what is going on within these systems that you need to know about. So we were looking at this, and they were asking St. Jude, where are you receiving these fetal tissues from? And researchers said that they are receiving these fetal parts, not knowing where they're coming from, and they do not know if the companies that they're receiving these fetal tissues from are following federal guidelines, or whether or not they were regulated or funded by the federal government. There are two people or two universities in mind right now. Again, these two places I'm focusing on more because they are connected to some other issues and other concerns as it relates to medical issues. So there was Vanderbilt University Medical Center in St. Jude. Each one of these hospitals have a stake in fetal tissue. Now, many of you probably don't know what that is, and I really didn't know what it is either, but it's basically using these fetal tissues for some sort of research, whether it's for brains or Alzheimer's or trying to find out how to cure some sort of cancer and diseases. So basically, the United States is paying for these people to get this stuff, and they don't even know who's getting it and where it's coming from. So there's another company that was called Biotech, and this particular firm actually decided that they were going to harvest these organs from, again, aborted babies for organ transplants. They are very upfront. Matter of fact, you can't even see it anymore on their website, because now they used to be able to tell you that, but what they're doing now is actually archiving the information so you cannot find it, archiving it, and so therefore you don't know what they're doing. But this particular company has been very successful in transplanting or receiving kidneys, livers, hearts, and lungs and organs, and from places that you have no idea where these things are coming from. Now, I'm telling you this because these things that I'm saying cost or worth millions and millions of dollars. And so you have to ask yourself, is this what is going on here? So who decides whether to harvest John Doe's organs? This is something that was called body snatching. And this has actually happened here in Houston area. And there's a company called Life Gift, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Life Gift is all across the country. And this particular entity is the one that tells you that, giving an organ saves a life, in doing this and this, and you're going to save someone's life. Be the best that you can be so that you can see what happens to your loved one. Well, what they're not telling you is that they have found several people that have what they consider homeless. And these homeless people have been taken into these hospital settings. Back in March 14th, there was a homeless person who actually was airlifted to Memorial Hermann. And I'm saying this hospital is because I really don't care at this particular point, because this particular hospital has over 1,000 or more medical malpractice suits against them, and nobody's saying one word. Well, this particular person could not be identified according to them. So basically what they did was they went to a court and petitioned a judge and said that they needed to harvest this person's organs within 24 hours. Now, they petitioned a judge and requested that this judge authorize the release for them to take someone that they claimed that was homeless and let them take this person's body, tissues, and organs. This is a term that we've been using that's called body snatching. The court actually authorized the taking of this person's organs without reaching out to the family, without trying to find out whether or not this John Doe that they claimed that they found on the side of the road had a family. They took this person, brought him in to their hospital facility, and then took this person's organs without anyone's permission. And the person that they took it from could not give it to him because he was no longer available to. Now, in Texas has a rule for organ, tissue, and body donations. And basically, they claim that they go and they ask the next of kin, or try to contact the person. But we know that they're not doing that because they didn't do that in this case. And I'm going to tell you why in a few seconds, why I know that they're not following the policies which they're stating. Now, once the judicial order was secured, Memorial Hermann's policy allowed a clinical team to move in forward organ donation procurement and gave these things to Life Gift. Life Gift is very important for you to understand right now, because this is the same particular entity that approached me and my family immediately after my daughter was deemed dead. However, they approached my mom even before they had claimed my daughter died. So this is not something that I'm making up, but these are the things that just keep on listening to what I said. So Life Gift is one of the nation's largest organ procurement. Matter of fact, Memorial Hermann has a 75% conversion rate, 75% conversion rate of receiving organ donations. That is a very huge number. They are actually located in Houston metro area like Amarillo, Lubbock, and Fort Worth. More than 120,000 people are pretty much they're claiming to wanting to receive these organs. Now, Life Gift, as they said, to me and to many people, is an entity that has started what we call body snatching. And again, body snatching is taking away people's rights and not trying to find family members to ask for these things. They are literally taking people's bodies, taking people's family members, and doing whatever they want to them. So let me keep going because it's getting a little bit deeper now. So you talk about who actually owns your body. Everybody's making money off the market for body tissues. So it's a different thing between body tissues and body organs. So tissues now have become this in thing now that they are looking for, claiming that they're using these things to do research for cancer, or again brain injuries, and Alzheimer's and all of these things. So what they've been finding out, that this one person, and it was sometime back in 2007 when this particular thing happened, and they found out that the bones of this one person was worth $7,000. They prepped it for resale. They took this man's stuff, sold it for over $7,000. This is not what I'm saying. $7,000. So they falsified his records, altered his age and cause of death. 3 days later, they sent his family some ashes and said that that was theirs. If it's sick, it's sick. And I'm sorry that I'm having to bear the bad news, but you know what? I'm wanting you all to see that this is something that is sick, is sad, and that our medical community is kidnapping and harming our family members. And we're sitting around looking at Donald Trump on TV. We're sitting around, filling our thumbs, and we're not paying attention to what is happening in the world. They claim there was a scandal. This scandal now comes at the funeral homes are also working in conjunction with these hospitals. And these undertakers are actually getting about $1,000 a pop for these people. And then and for some of the parts, they get even more money. And they're rating your family members for spines, bones, tendons, and tissues. Again, I told you this was going to be a sickening story. I know it's going to be hard for you to listen to, but you have to make sure that you understand what's going on. I know that this happened. The day my daughter passed away, we were sitting in the lobby. I got a call from Life Gift asking me, while I am in distress, I'm crying, I'm hollering and screaming. They're asking me if I would donate my daughter's organs. I can't answer that question because right now I am crying. I'm all gone. Well, they took her to the funeral home, or they took her to get an autopsy. And the day they did the autopsy, they told us they did the release. We received a phone call from the funeral home stating that someone had called them and told them that we had given them permission to give organs. We were like, no, we did not. So I know that either the funeral homes or somebody, these people are working together to sell the body parts of your family members, and we don't even know it. Okay, so they're stealing the body parts. So here we go. And they have a lot of companies. And so again, they have these lot of companies. One company is called Alloderm, and they actually relying on donated bodies. Osteotect, a company that uses these things in small breaks for surgeons. DePi Spine, a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson, that they use for spinal surgery. And so all of these things are used for other things to help other people. Now, what is happening is that the current compromise now is treating our body as property. Now, once they get in the hands of these corporations, we're no longer a priceless gift, but we become a marketplace. You don't even see this coming. So the legal value of a human body, dead or alive, is $0. A single person's corpse is worth $250,000. Again, unbelievable. Teresa. Unbelievable. $250,000. So let's just say we know that all of our family members, we know that in the medical community, in the industry that we're in with all of the medical malpractice, we know what's going on. We understand that on the medical malpractice arena, our loved ones are not worth anything, because when they harm us, we don't get anything. We can't sue. We can't do anything. But once that person dies, that person is worth more dead than alive. That's all I can say. This stuff is not good. Organs, unlike tissues, are not generally sold for a profit. So our tissues are the ones that they are trying to receive, and they don't care how they're getting it. I didn't even know that the government designates a single designated procurement organization for every locality. So maybe I'm thinking maybe that's Life Gift. It says if you die at home and donate, the government knows exactly what organization gets to take your organs. Wow. I didn't know that. They said a variety of organizations are competing for available bodies. I am in shock. They said hospitals in Washington, for instance, hospitals notify the Washington Regional Transplant Consortium when someone is nearing death, not dead yet, but nearing death, and the nonprofit will send out family councils to discuss donations with the next of kin. If the consent is granted, then the company then sends a tissue recovery team to the hospital. Wow. These people are doing what they call nonprofit, or have a nonprofit face, making for-profit money. Now, what do? They sell the gift of life. They come to you, and I couldn't believe this, but because I went through it, I do know they do this. Hospitals, hospices, and nursing homes have an agreement with tissue procurement organizations. They invite them to come in to discuss about becoming an organ donor. So now you have a family member in a nursing home, a hospital, you need to tell them to get out of the room because you don't want to talk to them. Period. Because these people are coming to you at the time when your loved ones are hurting, harmed, and asking you to allow them to take pieces of your family while you are just hurting at this point. Now, there's no federal law that requires a tissue procurement organization to tell the donors that their loved ones may end up all over across the country. There's no federal law that tells them that they have to tell you this. Donor recruitments are aggressive. They said they spend days coaxing a family into consenting. Now, they have this, what they call a little team. And they have a little team where it's called bereavement specialists, or like a bereavement counselor. And basically what they do is that they tell them that they train them how to come up to you and ask you for these things right at the point when they know that your mind can't function on a very informed consent. So they come to you and they ask you these things, and then they tell you, let's do this. Become an organ donor. And while you're going through this process, you're grieving. I even thought about it at the time when they asked me, and you're saying, maybe so. Maybe I will, because I want my child or my loved one to live on. But that's not what they're doing. They're trying to do this because they're not looking out for you or your family or being nice about it. They are trying to make money. They said donor families are invited to add their names onto something called an online memory quilt, which is some kind of digital expression of grief. The grieving families are then asked to choose a greeting card with messages such as love, so simple, so pure, so true. Then they tell them to choose like this color, like a picture of balloons, teddy bears, hearts. And then they add it to this quilt into cyberspace. And that's what you get for your child's organs. But they receive $250,000 for the body. Okay, so let's keep on talking because it gets better. So these companies fill orders. Like you at online and you fill an order or you go to a pharmacy and they're filling your prescription and they're filling specific orders because companies are asking them for different pieces of body parts. So when you were looking at the Planned Parenthood and that video that came out, this was some true stuff. This wasn't something that was made up. It was true. It was true. They were selling these things and they had online thing where you can go and purchase the pieces of the organs that you wish that you needed for a certain task. Again, sick. Is it a scandal? Yes, it's a scandal because we have a lot of these schools out here that we are sending our children to. UCLA, Tulane, University of Texas Medical Branch, University of California at Irvine, all have been accused of reselling bodies donated for research. Don't ask me, I won't send you the proof. I'm going to send you the proof because it just told me it's right here in here. I didn't write this story. Associated Press wrote these stories about these colleges that are just shipping out bodies and reselling them. Wow. Vanderbilt, body tissues, fetal tissues that they have no idea where they got them from, can't tell you who they got them from, and will not tell you where they got them from, but are selling these things for hundreds and thousands of dollars. So what they tell you, these are scandals. This is a scandal. This is a conspiracy theory. Yes, it is a conspiracy and it is a theory that you all out there are harming patients. You're harming people. You're taking people's loved ones and you're treating us like we're not even human for profit. This is sickening to me. They even have sometime in April, there were two senators, Charles Schumer in New York and Patrick Leahy in Vermont. They introduced something called Safe Tissue Act. It's a bill that will require the Secretary of Health and Human Services to promulgate regulations defining reasonable payments for procuring and processing tissue. Instead of letting the middleman set the prices, the government would set the cost of recovering tissue and thus price the parts. The government, our legislators are writing laws. Safe Tissue Act, really a Safe Tissue Act where they can be allowed now, which was back in the day, what? Illegal. Now they're writing laws to say that they can do this for a price. So let's get into some other stuff. So back in 2006 in Brooklyn, actually, 2 funeral homes were forced to close. Funeral directors pled guilty. Patients filed lawsuits for their family members. And guess what? The company that was procuring the organs continued to profit. Matter of fact, they have been more profitable every year. Wow. So I'm going into, let's just look at this. Life Gift, because Life Gift is the one that I was telling you about, and I'm just too disturbed. And again, I'm going to send you what I found, and I thank the Lord that I'm able to share these things with you because basically what has been said is that after losing kids, families are hoping actually to further research. But what they're not knowing or understanding is what these things that these people are asking them for are going to be used for. So They figured out that children were dying of brain tumors, or having this brain tumors, or having some sort of disease that was not able to be able to, they wouldn't live. And they call it some sort of DIPG, and it's a long word, but they claim that it was almost always fatal. So it was a tumor, and St. Jude tumor research actually began to say that these tumors were inoperable and they couldn't cure the kids. So without surgery, they were like, these people are not going to be able to survive. So what do we do? So they claim that parents were sort of in shock, because you're getting the bad news of your loved one, and they're telling you, well, your child, they're not going to live, and they're just not going to live. And what we need to do, and I'm not making this up, but what we need to do is to look at your children. So they said doctors asked parents of these children that were diagnosed with DIPG, and actually they claimed that these children were diagnosed around the age of 5 to 10, which was in their mind an enormous favor. So they asked the parents to let them autopsy their children. Right here, before the child has been deemed dead and all of this, they're asking the parent, right now, could they take samples of a tumor within hours of death? Your child's not gone, but they're asking parents if they could take these tumors at the moment. They said that the researchers that approached these parents were not sure how the parents were going to respond, because the doctors are approaching the parents at the worst time in their lives. They're grieving over a child who is about to die. Yet more than 50% of these parents are agreeing to allow St. Jude to take these things from their loved ones right before they say that these children are dying. So the parents are saying, we want to do this. We want to do this because we're helping researchers. We're going to keep somebody alive. And sure, you're thinking again that you're doing a great thing, but you're not understanding what's happening here, because I found something here. And in the market for fetal body parts, a baby's brain sells for $3,340. Do you hear me? $3,340. Republicans on the special House panel was investigating this fetal tissue stuff. They heard the evidence and found out that in the market for a baby's brain, $3,340. For human fetal tissue, 10 at $595 each. And I'm not playing with you. I'm going to put this on here so maybe you can see it. So I'm going to have to switch this screen around so you can see this. And then I'm going to send it to you in a few minutes. Hopefully you can see this. And there it is. It says $3,340. I'm going to send this to you in a few minutes. But you also have this little chart. This is how much researchers, they call it customer to procurement business. This is a business. So here you go with amounts. So my first amount here, fetal brains for one, is $3,340. Human fetal tissue, 10 at $595. Your upper and lower limbs with your hands and your feet, $890. A baby's skull, matched to upper and lower limbs, $595. Fetal brains, $2,230. So you're looking at me and I'm saying, you're not going to say anything, or you're going to just continue. You have loved ones, you have grandchildren, you have babies, and they are harping on these poor sick children, asking for parents to do this. Payments for procurement business to an abortion clinic. August of 2010 was about 11,000. January, February 2011, 9,000. January 2014, they're claiming the price went down to $6,000. So they're not showing you the price because basically now they're selling this stuff and doing it on the black market. One customer who bought 38 feet of brains, $22,600. 12 feet of hearts, $7,000. 3 feet of upper and lower limbs, $2,670. 5 livers, $2,975. And let me get to the livers because today or yesterday, I found out that they are taking fetal tissues from aborted babies, from the liver and the thymus, and in injecting it into mice. And they're called humanized mice, claiming they are using these mice to find out about Alzheimer's and dementia. Humanized mice. Don't ask me. Look it up. So I'm going to send it to you, Deanna Charis, so you can see who's getting this. You can keep looking it up and you can find out who's receiving this money. Many of your hospital systems are receiving this money because they're using it for things that they're not supposed to do. All right? And I see, General, you saying an adult power of attorney. These power attorneys doesn't matter anymore. They're not even looking at that because they've created a law that bypasses your power of attorney. So what you need to do is find out in your state what that law is, because I know in Texas right now, the power of attorney doesn't matter, because if you are registered on the registry, and basically they're doing that because if you gotten your driver's license at the age of 18, you are on the donation thing. So if you said that you were going to donate organs, then a power of attorney doesn't matter. That's simply the thing now. Nothing matters about any of these things. So it's sad to say, but I wish it wasn't, because that's what they're doing. They're creating laws to create this so that they won't have to answer to anybody or to give you any answers to whatever it is. Basically, you're just going to have to protect your family whatever way possible and making sure that they don't do what they're not supposed to. But check to see if your child is on the organ donation list or signed up at the age of 18, because that's when they are, when your child gets your driver's license, that's when they start asking them. And even if you were to take them off of the list, they will still remain on the registry. So if something happens in the hospital, they can still take the organs with or without your permission. This is what they have been talking about for so long, that they were taking organs without people's permission, and they're doing these things. And I'm sickening, or I'm so sick to my stomach that, you know, day before yesterday, I just cried tears because we're not being protected. We're just sitting here like guinea pigs because they are doing whatever they feel like they can. And then when I crossed over and found out that this school and the one place where you go to IHOP to eat pancakes, and then you give this money to this hospital, and then you know, and then they're raising all this money for races and taking all this money and claiming that they're helping people. And then you find out that they're not really trying to help. All they're doing is lining their bottom pocket. So this is what I need you to know, is that this research and this information that I'm giving to you, this is not something new. This is something that's been going on for years. This has been going on for years. However, we didn't have the access to the information, but you do now. I am hoping that I've said something to you that will actually help you to make some more informed decisions, to start making, start hollering and screaming to the top of your lungs, because again, they are stripping us of all our civil liberties. Today, when I looked at Dale Bigtree, I see where, he's very disappointed at this Century 21 law that's coming out here, and where, forced vaccinations. And, we're living in a world, you all, that we need to wake up. And I know that God says that he's going to give us what we need. He's giving us the information. He's going to give us the power. He's going to give us what we need. You don't have to answer to me. You don't have to like what I say, but I need for you to, take a stance and start looking and reading the information that I'm giving to you. And you should be afraid. You should be afraid, because it's something that's going out here, and I don't want to see your families at risk. I'm sorry that, I lost my daughter due to this kind of foolishness, but I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your loved one's life. I'm trying to give you information that, as hard as it is, we don't like the truth. We don't want to believe that these things are true. And so what I do for you is I send you information so that you can read for yourself. And I know that there's always two sides of the story, but you can't make this stuff up. As people say, you just can't make this stuff up. The stuff that I'm reading to you does not make much sense, but it's real. So I'm going to send you the information, and I'm going to hope that I can share more and more information with you as we go along. And I want you to share this information to others across this country, because you need to know what your lawyers, your lawmakers are doing in the country to protect doctors, to protect the hospitals, and they're doing it on the back of our loved ones. Many of you we don't even make $250,000 a year working every day on your job. But they're telling you that your loved ones, and you who are watching and looking at me right now, you're worth $250,000 dead. Come on, people, wake up. Wake up and tell somebody about what is going on. Protect your loved ones. Keep them safe. And the only way you can keep yourself safe is with knowledge. Don't believe the hype that these are conspiracy theories. I went through it, so it's truth. Many of you've gone through it. It is truth. Listen up. Take care. And wow, I know we're living in a society that that's why I'm shaking my head. But I'm glad I know what I know so that I can tell somebody else. So my community, my church community, you're out there, share this information. And I know that I'm seeing you. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, and many of you do. Hold on to your life like it matters, because it does. You matter. I love you. I care for you. I want you safe. And the only way we can do this is by banding together, learning what is going on in the inside, and dig that core out and drag it out in the middle of the street and stomp on it, so that we will have a country free from all of this greed and hatred and just on the backs of us. You have a great day, and I hope to talk to you soon. Love you. Also, before I get off of here, again, we have the Mobile Malpractice app. Go to mobilemalpractice.com. If you have something that you want to make a complaint about, please put it in the mobilemalpractice.com app. I will receive it. We will look at it to see what we can do and how we can do some things. Right now, we're focusing on the Joint Commission issues. If you've filed a complaint with the Joint Commission and they've sent you a denial letter, send that to me, because we're finding that we're receiving form letters, and they're coming from all across the state. So again, I'm Deirdre Gilbert, the National Medical Malpractice Advocacy Association. Let's keep us safe. I love you, and see you next time.